Hi everyone, and welcome back to another channel. My name's Quark, and before I start, I'm always plucking about, always looking for things. And yesterday's venture, I found I was in my petrol station, and they had these collapsible crates which they were going to throw away. So I just politely asked them if I can just take it, and they said, "Aye, take it away. Put up with things. Good for cleaning your tatties and." Storage, basically. Fantastic. Also plucked from them, they had quite a lot of these wee pots, for putting the flowers into it. So they were going to throw these away, so I took them as well. They are quite flimsy by all means, but I'll find something to plant in them. I think there's 20 in them. Just put a hole in it for drainage and voila. But anyway, today's episode, it's now February. Oh my god, where's January gone? So what we're going to do today, if you haven't done so already, is we are going to basically, what do you call it? Turn the compost. Let's press on before I get stuck with more words. It's amazing how simple word as turn kind of freeze your brain, if I had any. So what is the reason for turning the compost? It's obviously to aerate it and to obviously move the bigger stuff which you put later in the season to the bottom, just so it rots and it decomposes evenly. Right, so we're going to fast forward a wee bit here, because there's nothing really exciting, but I'm going to highlight some bits where I'm shoveling this. I'm picking out some bits of plastic. It's amazing how much plastic you miss when you're composting as well. I'm usually quite anal with these things. Right, I was digging, I found this big, massive, squeamish time worm. Look at the size of that. I mean, look at that size of that. I don't think it's a regular, i.e. a compost worm. I think just a regular earthworm which managed to get in there. Right, so just for us to see that big massive worm. So let's fast forward. And one of the reasons why you're turning the compost, and by chance I found this, what looks like one of those creeping rose vines. They do root very easily and grow profusely during the summer, so it's a good find. As you can see, it was budding out. Right, we'll just continue on. I'll show you some of the compost which I dug out. It's got teeming of life. Just a wee close up of the compost. As you can see, it's teeming of life. Lots of regulars, which is compost worms. And there were, apart from worms, there were like obviously wood lice and there were slugs in there, but a lot of worms which I didn't put in. It's amazing how you put compost down for materials down for composting, and the worm just goes there and it multiplies infinitely. Bit of plastic, remove that. So I mean, that compost been sitting there since what started in August, and the worms just seem to have multiplied, and there's tons and tons of it. As you can see, it is quite glumpy. That is because I forgot to put a cover over it. I only had put over a cardboard over it, but obviously that went saturated. Oh, there's a green lid up there which I need to take out, and it's gone all kind of clumpy and mushy kind of thing. So it's no harm done. I'll put a cover on top of that, a couple of plastic sheets, as you can see here. Every so often I also I pour some what we call effective microorganism, which is like LAB. Oh, did you see that? I kind of slipped there. Oops. Which I'll explain how it's made later on. Yeah, so every 6 inches or so, I drill some EM down. And I did this as well at the beginning of the year, beginning of autumn last year as I started. What this does is basically kickstarts the composting process, giving it a wee boost. This is the crab that I managed to lift out the compost. It's amazing what goes into it still. I managed to miss where I'm composting other materials. Bits of netting, plastic sheets, hose fittings, broken window obviously. What is effective microorganism, or what is commonly known as abbreviated to EM1? Basically, it's lactose acidus bacillus. Is that how you pronounce it? Anyway, I'll write it down. Basically, it refers short term as LAB, which I prefer to say because it's just too long. And basically, it's basically, easiest way to describe it is microorganism which helps the health of compost and soil, which obviously contributes to the health of your plants. Oh, love you too, love you. Another way to see it is, you know these Yakult milk or probiotic yogurt you get, which helps your stomach. Helps your stomach. What do you call those little things in your stomach? Well, it helps your stomach anyway. Basically, that is that to the soil, and organic, obviously, and very easy to make. What was I going to say? Yeah, I was just going to say something, can't remember. Yeah, it does take a while to make. The initial process takes about 14 days, depending where you live. If it's a warmer climate or steady temperature, then you're talking about maybe 7 to 10 days. And the second process also takes anything from 14 to 21 days, again depending how warm your house is or the climate you're living in. So in this video I'll show you the initial phase, then after 14 days I'll show you a second phase, and I won't show you a third phase because that depends when you want to use it, so that'll be incorporated into the second phase. So we need two main things at the moment. Is a cup of rice, which serves 2 people, or if you're going to make more then certainly use more. You need a bottle of water, and I recommend bottled water because it doesn't have any chlorine in it, which may destroy any bacteria or wheat germs that's in the rice. So basically what you do is you tip your rice into a pot. By the way, you can use brown rice or whatever rice you want. I just have white rice, so I'm using that. Put in about enough water. In this case for me it's like half of that bottle, which is about 400 ml. The less water you use, the more concentrated your leftover watery, milky, ricey water you have left. As you can see, I'm just adding a bit more water because it just wasn't enough in it. So give it a good stir, give it a good wash. Try and wash as much of the material from the rice as possible. Yeah. As you can see, the water is quite milky, so that's what you want, as milky as possible. So it's kind of highly concentrated. What I then did was I then just sieve out the water from the rice. I'm just making sure none of the grain of rice falls into the water and any kind of debris. So in this stage, that is it for now. Just close it with a lid, or put the kind of kitchen towel around it using an elastic band just to seal it off, and then just put that away in a dark place, away from direct sunlight, and that is it for 14 days. Actually, can't remember what I was going to say in between those bits. I had it in my head and now it's just gone. If I remember it, I'll re-record, I'll mention in phase 2. But that is it. Oh yeah, that's what it was. Aye. The EM is actually the main ingredient in the making of bokashi. Basically, the EM is mixed into bokashi is dried, and the bokashi is then incorporated into compost making. My compost is purely the lazy way. So basically, when I put the materials down, I pour the EM down, and I just lay it that way, and I don't touch it until obviously the middle of winter when I turn it, just to swap it over kind of thing. And that is meant to actually stop the compost going bad, going from aerobic to anaerobic, which is a different form of bacteria. So yeah, it's a key ingredient as well for making for doing lazy compost. Basically, I can't be bothered turning the compost every couple of weeks. So yeah, it's a lazy way of doing it. So yeah, that's it. That's what I've forgotten, and that's what it is. So catch you later, and see you in a couple of weeks' time or next week when I have another video about hydroponic.